followers? Well, I just finished up this program which pulls data from Yahoo Finance using the famous yfinance module. So I just spent time documenting this program, and really to run this thing you need some kind of Linux system. It runs with something called Python3. Python is a programming language and there's something you use called pip, which pip installs Python modules. So this program needs 3 different pip modules to run. It needs the yfinance to get data from Yahoo. It needs mysql to talk to a MySQL database, and it needs JSON for input and output of dictionaries from Python to a flat file. At any rate, you can read this first part here, and if you know Linux, you can fuss around with this and have a try at it. You can install pip on your Linux this way. I guess I should have said how to install Python too. I didn't do that. Anyway, you need Python too. And install Python, install pip, install MySQL server, and then from MySQL server you can create a database called company data with this little command here. You can make a user here, and I just call it user1, user1. I don't care. It's just junk. And then you want to grant privileges on that database and all the tables to that user, and then that's it. You're ready to go. So once you get these modules installed with the pip command, these commands here, those install, the program is pretty much ready to go. So you can put this into a directory and run the program. So these 3 quotes in Python mean comments. Anything between 3 quotes, upper and lower, is a comment. So I'm using Microsoft Visual, what's this thing called? VS Code. And that's why it's sort of highlighted with different colors for Python. At any rate, I have this insert template, which is a superset of the insert statement I need for MySQL. If you've done anything ever with a relational database, or at least all I really know is MySQL, it has an insert statement for inserting data into a table. So you have to name the table and then have all the columns with a bunch of names of what you want to put into the table, and then the second part are values of the values you want to put in the table, and that statement can be very long in this case. So the statement is really about as long as this dictionary here, so it's a long insert statement, but it works finally after hours of toil. So initially you want to do a table create command. So there's a create table command you want to run, and that will initially make this table in MySQL database. And so when you make a table in MySQL database, you have all these things that are called columns that are names of, picture these as headings in a Excel spreadsheet of what you have in your headings. And these basically are saying that it could be a character string or a bunch of characters, 100 characters long. That's what a varchar is in SQL. An int is simply a number, like a bunch of numbers like 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, 8, 9, 8, 2. That's an int, integer. And a float. So a float is something called a floating point. And that's like 0.0 or 7.1237187. That's what a float is. So that's all this thing has. It has floats, it has ints, and it has characters in it. And that's how you basically define a table in MySQL. There's other stuff you can put in there too. So anyway, all this stuff, all these names are what is returned from yfinance. When you ask it for something, it'll return all this stuff. Sometimes it returns all of these, sometimes some of them, sometimes none of them. So you got to be ready for all that. So anyway, I tried to make this program work in all cases. All right, so we have this part that makes a table in MySQL, and looks like I didn't define what this function does. This function just runs an SQL query. You can give it a command, it'll run it against SQL. Boy, I didn't define what this one does either. This is simply writing to a table, and the insert command I plug into this function here. I plug in the large insert command with the columns and the values, and I have auto commit on so that as it's writing into this function being called multiple times, it's doing a commit and writing it out to disk on the database. This one will initialize the company table, and it will initialize the table using that big table we defined above. So here we get the database version, and we drop the old table, meaning the old company data table is deleted, all the data goes along with it, and we make a new one. Why do I do that? I don't know, just to keep it clean. But the data gets lost. So that table, again, is the table we defined right up here. So the table with all those fields in it. So that's how that works. That makes a table, drops it, creates it. Okay, and then finally I started documenting some of these things. So this reads symbols from yfinance. This actually then is pulling symbols using yfinance off of Yahoo, and so I document how that all works here. Basically, we're going to pull in from a list of stocks, and we're going to put JSON out to this file here. That's what this is doing. So I open up this list of stocks right here, and I open up this company info JSON file. First, I do open it with a write, and then I close it. Then I open it again. I open it right, so it wipes it out, and then I open it again, append. So I'm now appending to an empty file. And basically then, what I get returned from yfinance, it's going to be, let's see, stock symbols. Okay, so here I'm reading a stock symbol. And here I'm actually then looking the symbol up with yfinance. I'm not sure why they have this thing in there, but that's what the author put in here, and it works. So here I basically get the info, which is a dictionary on all the fields that yfinance returns. And now I iterate through all these fields, and I build basically a local dictionary here. Let's see, what am I doing? Yeah, I'm building a local dictionary. And then I'm going to write that dictionary out using JSON to the file. So each line of this file here is a JSON long line, maybe like 121 key value pairs in a dictionary line that goes off to this file here. So that's how that works, a file with long dictionary lines. And then we close that file, and it sits there and is used in the next step. So the data comes in from yfinance, sometimes a little, I wouldn't say it's dirty, but a lot of the strings that have descriptions in them come in with commas and quotes and all that crap. It's like, I can't have all that in data I'm inserting in MySQL. It has to be clean data. A string can't have commas in it because that comma means something to MySQL. It has to have no commas. So I wipe all the commas out, I take out semicolons, all that stuff, and I basically, because that means something also to MySQL, basically I figure out if it's a string, I wrap a string in quotes, in single quotes, and if it's not a string, it's an integer, or a float, and I return that. And that's what the scrubber does. Sometimes it returns infinity for some value, and I just return a really large number for that. I'm not sure what that does, but this scrubber was made when I was trying to make the program work initially, and just trying to make it work under any circumstance. So you want to scrub the data. And this scrubber is a lot more simple than what I came up with about 3 years ago, which was horribly complicated. Okay, so this goes into the flat file we make. So here we're actually doing a process. We're reading the flat file here, and we're going to try to make an insert statement to insert it into MySQL, and that's really all this is doing. And I have it documented here pretty well. So we're going to read this JSON file, read it line by line, and here I have the concept of a template, meaning that this line will not be exactly 121 key value pairs. It might be less, it might be more, it doesn't really correspond. So if we have a template which matches all the different required columns in MySQL, we can then copy this template from a static template defined above. And then we will go through what we get back from yfinance and copy each of those values, overwriting what's in that copied local template. And that will give us a clean insert statement without extra columns or missing columns. And that's about it. So I basically then want to build up the columns and overwrite those into the local template, and I want to build up the values. And then I'll scrub this data to make sure that it's not dirty, as we went through before, removing commas, removing all the different little quotes, and then adding quotes with strings, and returning that infinity word, and that's about it. That'll fix that. And I keep a tab on the companies processed. This little part down here is like a debug when it blows up, and I wanted to figure out what key it blew up on. That is useful for that. And I'm sure in the future this will need to be invoked. Okay, so at one point I wanted to figure out the longest dictionary that Yahoo would return. And so here I'm simply iterating through what I get back and seeing what the longest key value pair is. And I think it was 121 is what I got back. Yeah, that's what I got back there. And then I figure out how many companies are 121 length, and there were like 14 of them or something. Okay, and then I want to automate creating a table. So I have sample data here, and I pull this apart, and then the output from this function, when it appears down here, can be used to cut and paste up above and make a table. So that's all this did, really. And here, if I get a string, I'll put a varchar out 50. I'll put an int out in a float. I had to really then go through and run this thing about 40 times and adjust this varchar to like 100 or 5,000 or something in various places. I had to make big int here and there when I needed to, but left it at int just to make sure it didn't waste space. And float, I didn't really have to mess with that. So what else? This part makes the template, and basically the template is, I'll show you that in a minute, that's what's used to do the insert statement. And then that's it. So all these functions here, these two really are just used for creating parts of the program. They aren't active. Here's the main, and so I've broken this down into 3 steps. So step 1 is you collect data from Yahoo, and so you would want to uncomment this here and use the read from Yahoo yfinance that we went through above. So that's the first thing you do, and that'll write that local JSON file, and you have to change my directory to your directory of where you want to put that file in your system on your Ubuntu or Mac OS or wherever you're running this thing. Okay, so here, step 2, I got to make that table in the database. If the table is there and has data, the first thing I do is wipe it out. So you could initialize that, but just be wary that it's going to wipe it out. So in fact, we can change this here a little bit to make it a bit neater. In fact, I wanted it to be like this. I didn't proofread this enough. There, that will initialize that table. Actually, for demo, I do want to initialize it, so let's leave it like that. And I don't need that. Okay, yeah, you want to have those lit up. Step 3, we're just going to go through that flat file, and we're actually going to process this stuff into the MySQL. And that's really all that works. So step 4 would be where you do your own query on the DB. And then we stop the program, and I have these helper functions down here that I used in making the program. So that gets us through it. I do want to initialize this table, I think. So let's get this fixed up. So there's our step 1, and I basically want to have this part outside of the step. I always miss this stuff. There we go. Put that there. Keep it commented out. And this one, let's see. There's step 2, and we don't want that. There we go, step 2. Boy, I'm not doing so well here with this stuff tonight, am I? That's where that goes. This gets wiped out. There we go, let's keep that up there. So, reading from yfinance. That's step 1, and step 2 would be initialize the company info, and step 3 would be this stuff here. There we go. So that gives us a basis here to get things done. And these we don't need to comment, we're going to use them. And print statements, don't need those. Okay, I think we're all set now. So now if we run this thing, it should go through all the steps. So we're going to skip step 1, that's commented out. Step 2, we're going to initialize the company table. Step 3, we're going to process it all into the MySQL. So let's see if it'll go. Go like that, and run the program, and there it goes. So you can see the company stuff kind of down here whipping through. Now we're on 2,000 companies. So it's all reading from the flat file. It's not reading from Yahoo. It doesn't have to do that. I use this as a way to test it. So make sure it gets into MySQL. Okay, so it's about done now. Okay, now we're all into MySQL. So then how is this stuff useful to you? Okay, so not sure what this was. There's MySQL right there. Databases, we have the company data here. Okay, so what can we do with this? Describe. Let's do a use on company data. So I have a database name, same thing as a table, which maybe is not good, but that's what I did. Okay, it uses that database. Now we'll say describe the table. And now the table will pretty much match the file I have on the computer, the definitions, and there's all the hard-coded column lengths. So anyway, yeah, that's nice. So anyway, you can report on any of this stuff now. So now you want to run basic SQL against the database. So you can do, say, you say select and some name here. I could say symbol And I can say, what else? Symbol, what else do I want to know? Yield, what else is interesting here? Total cash, I don't know, all this stuff. Bid ask, don't care about that. Dividend rate. I'm not sure if this will be a percentage. Anyway, you can just grab one of these and say dividend rate. I just lost my window. There we go. Okay, dividend rate, where dividend rate is greater than, I'm not sure what this looks like really, greater than 0.1 or something, a dime. Let's see what that'll do. Will it do anything? Unknown symbol, unknown column symbol. I thought I had a symbol here. So yeah, so you want to look up in here and see what it supports. I thought I had something called symbol. Any rate, that's how you do this. Price, day low, day high. I thought we had a symbol. There's the volume. Bid, ask. Currency, that's interesting. Shares, I thought we had symbol in here. Well, if we don't, I want to put that in here. That's a problem. Exchange. Okay, yeah, symbol. SYMBOL. Did I spell it wrong? SYMBOL. Symbol. Oh, I didn't put a from in here. So yeah, you can see how long it's been. From company info. Anyway, now I got to brush up on how this SQL works. It's been years since I've used this thing, or even tried it. It didn't work. It blew up. It didn't work at all anymore. So now I got it working again. Now I can use it, right? All right, that should do something. Company info does not exist. Company data, that's why. I called it company info years ago. Company data, there we go. Wow, that's fast. So this shows the companies that have a pretty damn good dividend rate. That's pretty cool. Then you can do things like raise it up. And I'm not sure why it's showing, okay, because it's low. 1.5. Wow, that's neat. What about $3? Jeez. Oh, anyway, this gives you an idea of what you can do with this thing, and you can make multiple queries on all this stuff to use this as a smart spreadsheet to find things that are of interest to you. Yeah, so I got to go through now and be like a Warren Buffett and figure out what I want to look for. But at least now all this stuff is in the database, so now it's just a matter of using it and figuring out what you want. That's interesting, huh? Board risk. Website sector. What different sectors do we have here, I wonder? I think you can do something like distinct key. Select from company data. I think I can say distinct, but I don't recall how to do that. Technology, healthcare. Okay, so what if you want technology? Where equals technology. Do I need a quote? Does that work? Yep, that works. So anyway, those are all tech companies, I guess. And you could use this to figure out all sorts of stuff, what their PE is, dividends, all that stuff. All right, well, that's the end of my little lesson here. I hope you found it useful. I'm not a very good person with SQL yet, forgotten most of it, but I did get data into the system, so that's what matters. To me, everything is in MySQL now. All right, well, thanks for watching. Have a great day, and I put this stuff all onto GitHub, and you can download it. I put the GitHub into the link. Anyway, here's the GitHub right here. If you want to download the stuff and play with it, there's even some company data in here, which will be static and old eventually. Here are all the stocks you can give it to report on. Those are all there for you. Here's the actual Python program that does all this stuff. So this gets it into MySQL for you. There's all the code. How much code is there? Almost 1,000 lines now. 600 lines of crap. And here are instructions on how to get this set up for yourself, so you can use it. Okay, thanks for watching, and I'll put this link into my Yahoo or my YouTube so you can see it. All right, thanks for watching. Have a great day.